So Donald Trump has been making his motions. He's staying true to his word in a lot of things. I think some people are happy about what he's doing. And I think that's the one thing about politics and almost any situation, you can have different perspectives and different outlooks. One thing I realized with politics more is that people can always put the blame on the other party. It becomes sort of a blame game. Well, I was responsible for these many good things. The bad things were, of course, caused by the opposing party. And I'm here cleaning this up, or I was unable to accomplish this because of the previous president. But what do we have now? We have an economy that's kind of circling, going in a downward trend, in a recession inflationary trend. And we have to think first, did Trump cause this, or was it already about to happen? What are the factors that are making people think twice and three times about going out, spending their money, and continuing to make investments? For instance, Canada itself is getting high tariffs because Trump wants US to make the steel, make the aluminum, and keep Canada out. And a lot of pressure is put on Canada. I think Trump, I'm not sure if he's honest about it, wants Canada to be part of the country. Now, why is part of the country kind of confusing to us is that we're seeing Trump really go out into Ukraine, into Palestine. He's going into Syria, Canada, Mexico, and he's kind of saying to everyone, you are going to be a part of the US, or we're going to take some of your land in exchange for our services, the services of the US. So what are the services of the US? US will say, well, we protect you. Our military is always there, and we're always there giving you the safety and the security of our military, our great fighters, our technology, the things we have, the things that we have been working so hard to build. We're technologically superior. Without us, you'd have nothing. And our bases are there spreading love, peace, and honesty to the world. And that is one thing we bring. The other thing we bring is the fat, hungry, greedy, credit card charging American consumer, right? Everyone is like, we eat your products, you give us our products, we build these homes, we build these buildings, look at the sky, look at everything that we are in America, we are buying your stuff. And what do we want to do? Trump saying, well, I'm going to bring the industrial world back. So how does he hope to do that? That becomes the question. How? In my perspective, what really focuses in on the global economy now is America is in tune with the global economy. The reason you can have a Snickers or a hamburger or the clothes you have at the prices they are at this point is because America is responsible for so much unpaid labor, like low wage paying labor or slave labor or a lot of labor around the world that is making these products in massive amounts so that companies can profit at the same time, give you a price that you deem is affordable. If you start to make things in the US and you get rid of illegal aliens and slave labor, which was done, which existed in America, but in order to clean up that issue, what they did, no child labor, nobody can get work under this amount. And other than illegal aliens or people working under the table unofficially, what happened? Did we give our money to foreign investors? No. The American investors went to foreign countries. They moved their production outside of US. Why? Ask the question, why did they have to do that? Because it wasn't enough profit. So what makes you think the typical hardworking American, that spoiled monster, pig eating, French fry gorging down, soda drinking, Netflix watching guy is going to work for low enough so the big businesses like Walmart, Gap, H&M, all these retailers can make their profit? Because at the end of the day, if your business is not making profit, why are you there? And if you're making enough profit, wouldn't you be willing to make more somewhere else? So there you have it, tariffs. Tariffs is Trump's way to say, It's just cheaper for us to make it here because everyone else outside is not coming. They're not coming. We're going to have to figure out a plan to make our products here. When we think about tariffs, we have to understand the global economy. If you were to do business in another country, let's say you start flying over to a different country, you're in a different world, you're saying, man, I can get these pants for $5. No, 5 cents. But when you try to take these pants outside of the US, customs is going to tax you. And you try to get it into the US, customs is going to tax you. It's okay if you got one pair of jeans or 2 pair of jeans for your family, friends. Even nowadays, things such as even iPhones are taxed, just at one a piece. But let's say your business. Every country knows that when you come in or out of their country with products and produce, they can control your willingness to do business there by these tariffs, these taxes, in and out taxes. And now, if Trump's idea is if I can make it high enough, it forces the American economy to look inwards for solutions. Do those solutions exist? Are those solutions feasible? We don't really know. In my mind, I don't think the average American getting paid $15 an hour, you cannot make jeans. So what's the solution, do you think? There's a solution. And it's always the solution of the businessman. The businessman's idea now will be what you think. You think it's more jobs, right? More jobs for everyone. But here's what I say. My thing is, I don't think there's any logical reasoning to think that jobs are going to come falling out the sky because of tariffs. What you will have is technology. Technology becomes the businessman's final wager to the economy. I'm going to get the robots. I'm going to use AI. If I can take the robots and I can take AI, I can still have a workforce internally to create the steel, to create the products. Now I can further have no need to pay this $17 an hour, $15 an hour workforce, and I'm still getting my profit margin. And this time I built the industry in the US and I'm making more profit than what I would have made outside. No more transportation costs, no more holding costs, no more external complexities. We can now come back and do it with AI and people, right? So why do you think it would make sense? How would you do it with people? If you're paying the basic person $15 an hour to do work, what work would that be in order to create more jobs? Because right now, you have 50,000 people, I think, that have left the government. If industries come back, you're going to get people constructing the buildings maybe, and you build these buildings, or you take the old ones and rebuild them. You start to create leases and purchases of real estate. But the actual day-to-day long-term effect, people moving into a location, do you really think what are the labor that's going to be done to build industrialized factories that are producing the goods that we have coming in from outside? Nah, well, think about what you get from outside. You get the candy bars from outside, you get clothes from outside, Amazon, majority of it's from outside, electronics, your USB holders, your adapters, right? And if you make it in-house, the kind of build out you're talking about is huge. It's a huge reinvestment based on what? It's more cheaper to build it in-house than to go outside, right? By increasing the tariffs, increasing the jobs. Do I really think the average American wants to work hard? No. One thing I do see in my life, and I've worked with a lot of people, all sizes, all shapes, that generally most of the world is lazy. They want to go to their tailgate parties. They want to have their hamburgers. They'll watch Netflix all day. They'll tell you about politics, what movie happened, what sport happened, right? They know all this information about non-beneficial items in my mind that are going to help move themselves up. But when it comes down to kind of helping their situation and complaining, they blame it on the foreigners. They blame it on everyone else but themselves, right? It's the foreigners. It's the poor people. It's that guy that doesn't look like me that's causing my problem. That's why I can't get up in the world. I see it in every country I go to. I see it in every place. Not saying that it isn't real. There aren't physical constraints. But there are the few who are trying hard, and I really think the masses, they're a little busy chilling out, hanging out in the sun, looking at the world and thinking, hey, what can I just do to just have a happy day? I don't want to work hard. What is the good side of tariffs? Tariffs is Trump's idea of trying to get things done, right? By pressuring people's pocketbooks, threatening people with a situation that, hey, things are going to get really expensive if you don't work with us. If you work with me, you become part of US, then you avoid tariffs. You understand? If Canada and Mexico were part of US, what have we done? We have taken massive land. We've eliminated their tariffs. We've created an economy now in between Canada all the way to Mexico as one state. In Trump's mind, everyone wants to be part of US. Why not? Everyone wants to be a part of it. We had a county like it was called Fairfax County. You'll see it in Virginia. Every year, people want to keep being part of it, and you'll see it over time constantly increasing. His mind is, why wouldn't people want to be part of US in order to get their products in quicker, avoid customs, and he's kind of looking at it that way. It's a smart idea, but I think the part that Trump loses in on is that if we look at the countries, the disunity of people in general, the general nature of people is if they have a house, or they have property, or they have anything, they like to compete with each other, even at the detriment of their own people and their own businesses. The people at the top of the head, if they're the king of a country, the president of the country, they don't want to be under anyone. They don't want to go lower. So let's think about a concept here, a very important concept: competition. Why do people compete? Why do they feel the need to compete? People want to be above other people generally. There's the very few humble. But people want to show, if you're out in the world and you see someone having a nice ring and you get married, you want to have this better ring. You could say, I have the same. I'm kind of okay, but you want a better ring. You want a better car, don't you? You want a better house. You want that one thing the other person doesn't got. I remember back in the day when we used to get music, it was all CDs, right? Like these little CDs, they were tapes. And then you wanted to be the first one with that tape, even if you had a week. You had that for a week. You had that attention. You had people's eyes on you, right? The same with the car. What was that? I think it's Dubai or some country where getting the license plate at number 1, 2, like single numbers, shows that how much more you paid for it, and how unique you are, and how much higher that you are. So it's going to be a big thing for Canada to give up their power, their kingdom, really. For what? To be part of America, to be under Trump, to be under the American presidency. That person runs his own unit. And even though if it's not America, someone will have to be very low, like Puerto Rico or someone, really facing very, very hard times and having a very total destruction of their infrastructure, whether caused by who, well, who knows who, but we kind of have an idea. Then they're willing to come in, right? Canada, Mexico. I mean, do you really want to open up Mexico? The very people that everyone wants to get, all the great Americans want to get rid of, they want to make it part of the US now. It's kind of an odd thing for me to kind of wrap around my head. Now, there are situations where we look at tariffs, the problem becomes what you're doing right now, you're causing ripples in an economy that has been working, in an inflated economy, in a beginning of a recession. We are starting to see prices go up. You see more and more things at stores that are unavailable, right? Delivery times a little bit longer. And you're starting to see the stock market start to fall. You start to see people just staying in their houses, not looking for bigger houses, not going to upgrade. So what's really happening here? People are freezing up. There's a concept in economics, is a circulation of money. The more ways and how fast you can make it circulate, you can kind of have your economy being very strong and very, very fluid and moving at a strong pace, right? And when people stop spending, you're in a situation. And that situation becomes the pooling of money, the people sitting on their money, waiting. And when that happens, Sales go down, transaction goes down, banks stop making money, right? The government has less tax income coming in. And if we look at COVID, we look at what happened. Companies are so big right now, so interdependent on this global economy, they cannot take long periods of having no income coming in. So we play this deadly game with these huge companies. We saw Ford go down, we saw other companies go down, but we play this deadly game, and this deadly game, what it causes is something that you really need to think about. An inflated banking society. What do I mean by an inflated banking system? We are in an inflated banking system. We are in an inflated banking system. So, in respect, when we look at the inflated banking system, countries are being funded money that we have loaned out, money that doesn't exist. Companies, economies. Now, if that economy shrinks, now it gets to a place where you can't fix it. Because when you deal with when you deal with this interest type of banking system, you can start to have a lot of algorithms and calculations based upon time and decay that lets you say there's a very small chance of failure, there's a very small chance of default, that if we keep this much money in our banks, that we'll be able to pay the amount we calculated. If we look at the wildfires, you'll notice how a lot of insurance companies cancel their policy. Like their algorithms and analytics are that strong. But no one is that strong in their calculations at all times. If Trump is wrong, tariffs don't work out, it slows down the economy long enough, what we are going into is one of the worst things that any country wants to go into. And this thing is something that you really, really do not want to happen to your economy. Now, we look at what is this thing? What is this thing that we don't want when the economy slows down too much, it goes to a point where it can't be stopped, and then you have to ride it out. This is what we truly face and what we truly fear, and even the typical American will fear: a recession. One thing about a recession, this is what we all do not want. This is what Trump even himself says that he doesn't want. Even Elon Musk doesn't want. Why doesn't Elon Musk care? Why should he care about a recession? Because of Tesla, because his billion-dollar status, his richest man on the earth moniker will go down to nothing. He's already lost half of his value in Tesla. That doesn't mean in the long term he won't win. I think he has over 400 million or more from government grants. One of the things that we have to understand that Tesla and Trump are thinking, by making the government more efficient, and what they'll also be able to do is put their businesses and their companies in place in order to create a more profitable hierarchy in our world's economy. But what is a recession? A recession lasts for 1.5 years of inflation and a shrinking economy. If that were to happen, what we now have is an unstoppable situation, just like a snowball falling down a mountain, increasing in size and size. You have to wait for that snowball to go down the mountain, crush, melt, and then you have to rebuild. You have to wait for the seasons to come, things to grow, and hopefully you can build yourself out of it. But as we see in history, what can also happen is that you cannot recover from that recession. Your economy takes such a huge hit that you can get this snowball rolling, and that rolls and it crashes, and your economy is thrown back years, maybe even decades, in order to restructure.